In today's video, I'm trying out the new F125 Sprint content update so you don't have to. This is, of course, a part of F125's live season update. Their kind of live service they've been trying for a couple of years. We already had the first part of the Sprint content update last month with Lewis Hamilton at China, and this is part number 2 with the record maker Andrea Kimi Antonelli content, where the Blur Breeds Mercedes driver Kimi Antonelli became the youngest pole position sitter in any F1 format of all time in 2025 Miami sprint race. Can you rewrite history and make even more history at Miami with ever-changing race conditions? Now, I'm hoping this time around it actually will be the sprint race, because in China, Hamilton's content wasn't even actually in the China sprint for some reason. And hopefully we can go for the race win, because as you click into the event in F1 World, the extended blurb does say that that is the objective, and we actually get an unlocked reward if we win the race. So that is the objective ahead of us. Let's get into it.
This is F1 World. Plenty of brilliant drivers, plenty of thrills and spills. Guaranteed.
Well, we'll see about that at Miami. What does make me a bit nervous going into this, actually, is because historically on F125, Miami's been one of those races that's really difficult versus the AI, because they've got some insane overpowered acceleration out of the corners. So I'm hoping we can actually go for the win here and do Antonelli some justice by writing and rewriting some history and going for the sprint win as we load in to this scenario race. Out the pits then on the medium tire, very overcast conditions. And as we get going, we're going to get a sense of where we are in this race then. So, fastest lap by Nico Hülkenberg and Albon. We're in P5, having just made a pit stop onto mediums. Piastri ahead of us, also on mediums. So, it looks like this has been, like in real life, Miami. There was some rain involved in the sprint. And we're going from inters to the dries. We've been one of the earlier guys pitting, along with Piastri, I suppose. And so our objective is, I think, effectively going to be trying to beat Piastri, because I feel like, you know, P3 and onwards, Russell, our teammate on inters, they'll surely be coming behind us once we've made the pit stop. But this is actually in a sprint race then, compared to the Lewis Hamilton content, which was just kind of shoehorned in to the end of a full Grand Prix scenario. So at least they've rectified that issue. And you can see it on the bottom right. I'm already viciously trying to save as much battery where we can by going to none ERS into every corner where possible. You know, just flicking the overtake mode on just a little bit down the second half of the back straight. Missing the brake point just a little bit there. It's been a while since I've done Miami on F125, and kind of forgot where the brake point was at that point. And, well, the track as well is a little bit still green because it has been raining and has come to dry. So the track itself is not feeling at its 100% grip level, which might make things a little bit more interesting as well versus the AI. But we are indeed now in second place. Piastri is taking the lead. Everyone has now transitioned onto the dry tire, and we have got 4 full racing laps of this Miami sprint to try and win this. And the problem is, though, we've got a McLaren sandwich going on, basically. The Piastri ahead of us, Norris behind, and we're already down to 5% battery. As I've kind of overdone it trying to keep up with Piastri. It's kind of a, especially at Miami, but pretty much most races, it's always a bit of a cat and mouse game with wanting to use enough battery to keep up with AI, and then not wanting to use too much, because otherwise you'll get minced by them if you have nothing. At least, you know, on the base cars, which this is with, you know, in Season 3 now, in the My Team series currently, we have less of an issue of that, because you have so much battery that you're gaining back with the upgrades in the career car. But with the base cars, as this is in F1 World, it's back to struggle town as it was at the start of the game, that first Season 1 of My Team and the initial races on this game. But we are doing well to still close up to Piastri. 1.3, 1.1 the gap, so we're nearly within DRS. Once we've got DRS on Piastri, I think we'll have a better time of it. We're going to be able to save a bit of ERS whilst having the DRS open, but the grip is still an issue as the rear end locks a little bit. In hindsight, probably could have moved the brake bias a bit more towards the front just to stop the rear locking occurring. but I think we'll be fine on this lap to break into the 1 second. But the problem is Norris is also just about getting into the 1 second region at the same time as we make a bit of a hash of that left-hander understeering wide, and so Norris is under 1 second. I'm yet to get the DRS off Piastri, so we are going to be under attack by the other McLaren before we get a chance to actually attack the McLaren we're aiming at ahead of us. But this is basically the entire sprint and scenarios, fighting these two McLarens, because Hamilton 7 seconds away on the soft compound, our teammate 14 seconds away. I had this, sentiment after the Lewis China sprint content. I would like to see more cars involved in the scenarios they're doing. They're basing it off real life, but the actual race itself and scenario isn't really anything to do with real life. So I think they could artificially make it so we're fighting multiple cars, or there are at least 5 cars in the realm of the fight and possibility in these scenarios. Just fighting 2 cars for most of the race, there could definitely be a bit more entertainment factor to it. Not to say that this isn't under pressure, because we are feeling the pressure from Norris, and I'm trying to gain on Piastri, but you know what I mean. It'd be nicer to fight just more than just one team in the scenario. But we've done well, actually, because I thought we were going to get maybe hounded a bit too much by Norris. But we've done well to save battery where we can. Obviously, making the most of the performance into the corners where we can gain that advantage on the AI. And on the exit, getting minced a little, but using the battery sparingly, but strategically where we can, and blipping it in little spurts down the straight to carry us over. And now we've got DRS. We're into none ERS, because that DRS is carrying us through and keeping us up with Piastri. We have a little half look at the Australian there, just letting him know we're there in the mirrors as we're coming through to the last 2 laps of this scenario. And this is crunch time now, and we're so quick through this section that I thought, let's dive it down the inside here. Let's put Piastri under pressure, slow him up a little bit, and that can't be a bad thing to our advantage to get involved with the fight early. Norris will overtake both of us, going for the double overtake. We overtake Piastri, both of us with DRS, absolutely mincing Piastri. We come back through on Norris, a little bit deep, but that works out for us as we take Norris a bit wide and we maintain first place. A little bit of contact as we tried to slam the door shut, didn't quite work. He's going to come through on the left-hand side. We're none ERS, trying to save as much battery as possible. Piastri almost goes for the move there. We're going to dive it back on the leader, Lando Norris, and squeeze him out in the same way Verstappen did in real life, as Fernando Alonso out of this sprint in this scenario. That massively affects this scenario, of course. Fernando Alonso being out really is going to affect these last 2 laps, as Norris has overtaken us, but really not too bothered about that, because we're just saving battery now. We're in a good phase, over 80% energy saved. So this is what we want. We're behind, but we're not too far behind. We know we can close back up with DRS, and we're still saving battery in this way by sticking with medium, going to none into this left-hander, able to get down the inside while still being in none, which is very, very solid, as we'll get to about 70% battery onto the last sector. But now we're the ones being chased. Fernando, to be fair, Fernando's retirement there maybe does affect things a little bit, because they couldn't go for a move there in the yellow sector. But now they can, onto the main DRS back straight. So we're a bit of a sitting duck now, so I'm trying to move about. I'm trying to break the slipstream of Norris. We're medium though, because I don't want to overuse the battery. We go defensive. Norris might come through on the outside. We're playing the defensive game. That's fine. We'll take him wide. We go on to now the last lap. So now we have to be very careful, because if we make one mistake of where we're letting them by or saving ERS, we could be toast. Because if we let them by at one point and they blitz off into the distance, that's a problem. So it's deja vu. It's a copycat of what we did in lap 13 by squeezing Lando out there at that same section. Now going none ERS, because it worked quite well letting the car by at this point because we know we can keep with them and we're saving so much energy through this left-hander. It's a long winding brake zone, but the problem is here, look up the road, that lapped Alpine, blue flags, he's going to give Norris DRS. So now I'm panicking a little bit. We need to deploy a bit more battery here to stick with the McLaren because the McLaren has DRS and is, well, would have pulled away if we had gone to none ERS, but we've made the filthiest dive bomb ever to not only overtake Doohan, but also be side by side with Lando. Just let him know we're there, to be honest, and slow him down a little bit. I'm fine being behind him because we have so much energy here that we try and nip down the inside. A little bit of contact there. Again, this is just all about slowing down the McLaren just a tad. So now we can pounce on him with DRS. Just dump all the battery pretty much, and we're going to power pass. It's the first time we'll feel quicker than the AI in a straight line, and then into the final corner. Easy does it. We've got a lot of battery to work with to just blast out this corner, and we are going to go towards the sprint win, making history for Kimi Antonelli, rewriting history from the sprint pole to the sprint win here in Miami. But like with the Hamilton content, I really wish they had done some VO lines or like got some team radio to just put right here. It kind of feels very hollow that there's no team radio, there's no commentary to reference what we've just done in this scenario. I think that's the missing piece. That, you know, it's such a small thing that would really elevate this content a bit more, in my opinion. Aside from the fact that I think they just need to make this scenario a bit more interesting with more cars involved maybe, or more jeopardy, or just more interesting things going on, like, you know, fake punches or damage or whatever. I know this is based off real life, but I think they could still make it a bit juicier than it was in real life. But we won the race, so we did get the objective, and I'll show you that just in case, you know, I'm trying it out so you don't have to. So in that same vein, so you don't have to, here is the livery reward that you're not missing out on, because it's pretty, I mean, you can't even change the colors. It's a locked livery. Summer of Speed. Well, summer's over in the UK here. If you've been looking outside the window this week, it's been very, very cold. Autumn seems to have arrived early here in the UK, so the Summer of Speed is no more, and this livery probably won't be getting used by anyone, to be honest. So that's another fair criticism, I think, from me, is, again, I think the reward needs to be a lot more. I would love it if the reward was something to do in my team, like a special livery that you can use in my team that you can't unlock, or some perk or owner perk in my team that you can only get in this scenario. That would make more people play it, I think, in my opinion. But that was the sprint content. That was the last of the sprint content in this season's podium pass. So the next time we make a video like this will be for whatever they've got cooking up for season 3 of F1 25 live service. If you have enjoyed it nonetheless, then be sure to hit the like button. If you are new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys around. Goodbye.